Now, when I told you I found a kit that would not only give us everything we needed to make this Jeep look good, but ride good, I wasn't kidding. Now, this is all from Clayton Off Road, and you've got the upgraded Bilstein shocks, you've got the springs, and you've got all the massive hardware. This is the real deal.
First glance, I'm drawn to this. I mean, look at the size of these arms here, man.
Thanks, dude. I have been working out a little bit.
That's a little uncomfortable. I'm talking about these right here. These things are massive. Those are the front lower arms. You know, I could actually sit here for about an hour just looking at everything.
And just talk and do nothing.
Absolutely.
But for once, we're actually going to do a little work with this guy. So it's time for us to get under here, get this thing up in the air, and we can start putting some of this stuff on.
Now, we've pretty much got everything out of the way that needed to be moved or loosened up, because we need some room to work with, because this is the new spring that's going to end up going in here once we take that stock one out. So take a look at this little side-by-side comparison. That is a lot taller. Heck yeah, we need a lot more room. Now, in addition to this, right here, we need to drill and tap, because we got another bump stop that's going to go right inside the shock right there, okay? So when we're doing that, we need as much room as possible. So the idea here was to loosen everything up, get the drive shaft disconnected, so that this whole unit will just drop down and give us all the room we need to work with.
Along that line of thinking, we're going to go ahead and take off these upper and lower control arms. They've got to go anyways, but a good time to do it now will give us more room to work, because the new ones are going to be much longer, so we'll have much easier access to putting the whole new spring in.
Yeah, they'll drop down even further.
All right, boss, bring her up. A little bit more. There we go. Thank you. All right, with the springs out of the way, I want to show you guys a quick side-by-side comparison of the control arms, the new versus the old. And at first glance, you can see that the guys at Clayton Off Road are the real deal. I mean, this is some serious stuff. Now, they use all square tubing, which is stronger than the round, but they also have some cool features like the Curry Johnny joints on the end. And let me show you how this works. So we'll go in place in the original mounting spot like that. It's almost like having a hind joint, but the better part about this is they're impacted in a bushing that is going to get rid of all road noise, and these bushings are rebuildable, they're greasable, and on the other end they've got the same type of OEM bushing, not that polyurethane stuff. Now, these control arms need to be preset before you put them in. They give you all the lengths and the numbers to work with. It'll get you close. We'll leave everything loose when we put them in, get the vehicle on the ground, get it to the right weight, the right stance, and then we'll tighten everything down. But at least the numbers they give you can get this thing close, and then we'll dial it in at one point.
Over here on the passenger side, on the upper control arm, we run into a little issue, and that issue is with this bolt right here. Now, obviously, this bolt has got to come out this way. Well, if it goes any further, it's going to bottom out into the exhaust. All that is a byproduct of how they manufactured this vehicle. They put all the suspension together first, then they dropped everything else in after that. Well, the problem is now we're going to have a little bit of difficulty getting this thing out of here. Option A, we can take out the exhaust and move the bolt out, but we're not going to do that. Option B, we come in here, cut this bolt off, pound it out. Then when we put the system back together, we run the bolt in from this way. That way, if we have to get to it in the future, it's much easier. All right, now we can pound that out and keep the progress moving. Welcome back to Truck U. Now today we're installing this 4.5-inch lift kit from Clayton Off Road on this Jeep JK, and we're at the point really where we can start putting everything back together. Now keep in mind, this is a nice bolt-on kit. Everything bolts on. There are a couple of little things that you've got to do that are nice and easy. I mentioned one earlier. We got to drill and tap a hole right here, and that's for the bump stop that's going to sit inside the spring. And on the inside of this bracket right there, we just have to do a minor bit of grinding. No big deal.
Yeah, because we're using a bigger lower control arm, we just need to make the clearance for it, and also give us a little bit of room so if this thing's moved to side to side, it doesn't bind up on this bracket. So, Matt, watch your eyes here a second.
You got it here. All right.
That'll get it.
How's it coming there, expert?
I need to do a little bit more clearancing, and that should work. We've already got the other side done. Once I finish this up, we can put the upper control arm in place. From this point on, it's pretty much all bolted together, so it should start going together pretty quickly. Watch out again, one more time.
I'll hang this track bar into place right now, and then when we put the vehicle back down onto the ground, I can button all that up and make the connection and tie it all together. Now, what the track bar does is it centers the axle underneath the vehicle from left to right. So you look at these lines right here and these angles, and you think about it, if you greatly increase the weight of the Jeep as it's sitting on the suspension, and it's got these angles right here. Well, a lot of weight is going to have the body kind of shift over to that side, right? And then on the opposite way, if you were to stretch it out and lift it way up and not mess with the track bar, it's just going to kind of bring the axle over this way. So either way, it's a bad thing. The advantage to this track bar with this system is the fact that it's adjustable. So no matter how much weight you're adding or decreasing over the years, you can make the adjustments right here that you need to make, and everything's going to be right where it needs to be. It's very nice.
Now, two little things I want to point out to you guys as we're putting this together is, first of all, the upgraded brake lines. Now, these are stainless steel, which are obviously going to be a big improvement over the rubber hoses that come with the factory brake system. Now, what's nice about these is they're made for either side. They've got a little taper that goes away from the wheel, so that's what you want to do is you got one for driver's side, one for passenger side, and use the existing banjo bolt. It's pretty straightforward. The other thing I want to point out are these are really cool. Now, these are quick disconnects, obviously, for your sway bar. Now, they're bolted into place, and what they allow you to do is when you want to go four-wheeling, all you have to do is pull the pins like that. These will slide out. You can pull that sway bar out of the way, and you have full articulation of your suspension. You can do so in a matter of minutes, and when you're done, put them back in place with the quick pins, you're back on the regular highway again, and you're going to have a nice, smooth ride going down the road. We're here in the back of the truck, and as you can see, we've got a lot of the old stuff out of the way, and we're halfway through, well, even more than halfway through putting the new lift kit in from Clayton Off Road. Now, for us, we're lucky in the fact that it's pretty much straightforward in the back. You don't have all that steering geometry you have to work with. It goes a lot quicker. Now, they give you pretty much everything you need, like up the front, including these beefed up, upgraded control arms, which come with a lifetime warranty, just like the ones up front. The only thing missing with the kit, and well, it's for a real good reason, is the shocks.
Sure, I mean, the thing about shocks is you could talk to 10 different guys and you're going to get 10 different opinions on which way to go with it, right? So some guys just want the cheapest ones they can find. They don't care, slam them in, they go, right? Other guys want all of the manual valves and all this, that, the other, and they want to set it for every single thing they do. The other 99% of the population, like us, is just somewhere in between.
So for us, Clayton offers a Bilstein shock, and this one's specifically valved for the J case with a 4.5-inch lift kit. The whole idea behind it is, well, first it's going to look good for a long period of time. It's got that zinc coating, which isn't going to crack and peel off. The other thing is it's going to give you a great ride, and that's what this entire lift kit is about, not only looking good, but riding good going down the road.
Now, you mentioned the fact that there's not as much geometry going on in the back, and there's not. There is one thing that you've got to do. What it is this big monster bracket that actually rolls over the axle right there. I got the bolt in here holding that in, and then this bottom piece will bolt up right here. And what this does is it relocates the track bar, because, I mean, think about it, with the lift that we're putting on this thing, the track bar now, if we just left it that way, it's going to mess the geometry all up. So it used to attach right here, and now with this big mega bracket right here, that's going to move up about 4.5 inches. Then all of our geometry is the same, and we're not screwing anything up. And that's better than a lot of alternatives as far as bracketry goes.
Yeah, some of the inexpensive kits, what they do is they give you an extension where it'll go off of here and use this factory mounting point to raise that point up. Well, that'll compensate for the lift, but the downside is it's not really well reinforced. It's not reinforced at all, and when you're out on the road, and you're out on the trails, I should say, and you're doing some four-wheeling, a lot of stress and a lot of torque is put on this factory bracket, and it'll break off, and that is not a good situation. All
right, so we need to finish up the track bar and then finish up just a couple more things back here. Then we should be ready to put it down, tighten everything up, and then get the wheels and tires on it. Welcome back to Truck U. We're also going to replace the stock drive shafts this afternoon as well with these upgraded ones from Tom Woods. Now, we've got a couple definite advantages. First of all, they're a lot stronger. The shaft is stronger, the U-joints are stronger, and that's going to be good news, especially if he's going to do any serious off-roading in this. Now, you take a look at the front and rear drive shafts. Let's look at the rear in particular. There's a dust boot right there in the middle. So if you're going over some rocks or some tree stumps, anything that can grab that and shred that boot off, then you've got some issues. There's also that dust boot up here on the front. Now in the front we have another issue, because now we've totally upgraded the suspension up here. We've got a lot more travel and articulation, and the whole deal is going to be moving around. Now let's say, for example, the passenger side wheel drops off in a big hole. Well, everything's going to shift. This stock shaft is going to potentially slam up against this automatic tranny pan right here, and that'll shred that boot, so you've got that issue. And then if you don't pay attention to it too quick, this thing can be banging up on here and you can have a bunch of problems. Now, the way that we're going to solve that is to go with this Tom Woods shaft. What it is, it's a smaller diameter, but the walls are a lot thicker, so it's much stronger. And like I said, you're not going to have the issue with the clearance, because we put that up there, we've got a lot more room. That way the front can bounce and twist and do everything it wants to do, and we don't have to worry about the shaft slamming up into the tranny pan. So it's one less thing we've got to worry about.